And so, for example, when you buy job changers data, you don't really iterate on it that much. It's like you didn't have it before and now you have it. When you're developing your own custom signals, you can make tweaks to that signal over time to tailor it to the exact type of moment that you think is important in your kind of sales process. And if you're able to iterate towards that signal and have a kind of a culture and a process where you can get feedback from the field on the signals that you're providing to them, or you can run campaigns based off of those signals and track the open rates and reply rates, then you can kind of successfully iterate into something which is going to be much more successful than everything else. And so normally what I see is, you should always run something like a job changers campaign. That's a tried and true way to kind of gain revenue. So, when you have champions move from one business to another, you should know about that. But then on top of that, you should run a series of unique signals that you're always checking for that will allow you to know when someone is uniquely in the market for your product.
Okay, that's awesome. So obviously you worked with quite a few different clients. Maybe you want to share some of the use cases where the GTM teams have deployed Clay. They went from a certain tool or manual process to Clay, and there was a lot of obviously maybe speed and quality and performance change. So maybe if you can just tell us some of the examples that would actually help us out.
Yeah, like there's a lot of flashy things with Clay, but actually the first thing customers do with this is they work on their data quality. I feel that most companies are not very happy with their data quality. That's kind of a universally understood problem. And so that's a big problem because it means that you can't actually build some of the automated things that you might want to build on top of very poor data. So I'll give you some of my favorite examples are a company like Plaid. So the first thing they did with Clay is they filled in all of the sub-industries on their accounts. And so they have like 70 different sub-industries of ways that they look at their market. So, for Plaid, they have banking platforms, they have debt collection platforms, they have sort of like, fintech infrastructure, they have crypto, they have all these different types of businesses that make up Plaid's market. But if you go to LinkedIn or you go to ZoomInfo, you go to somewhere else and you look at the industry classification on those businesses, it's all going to say like telecommunications and internet or something. And that's not very useful if you're doing things like running marketing campaigns or you're building balanced books of business. And so the very first task that Plaid did is they filled in all of the sub-industries of all of their accounts based on their specific view of the market. And that's kind of the first step towards saying, okay, I've actually begun to customize what I'm doing based on everybody else, based on like insights that I have about my market and the types of products that I sell. And so that example is kind of true like across the board. Almost every Clay customer is going to start with some sort of data quality issue.